Yo, let's rob a bank. I will go over the routes I take to get as many Paw coins as possible. The very first thing you need to do is skip the intro cutscene. Yes, this is an actual step of the gameplay. Because while you have 12 minutes for the whole heist, if you let the whole cutscene play out, you will actually start with about 15 seconds already missing. And, as you'll see later, 15 seconds is often the difference between making it out with your loot or losing everything. Also, a quick tip. Once you have cleared the one-time challenge of making it out with 210,000 funds, the in-game general currency, from a single run, start ignoring money entirely. You'll see, the way to optimize a bank heist is to not grab the cash. To explain, the main thing you are going for are the Paw coins. These can be exchanged for valuable goods directly from cheese, and there is no weekly limit on how many you can earn, but only certain items have a Paw coin value. However, there is a limit on how much cash you can loot, and you will hit it very quickly. Additionally, all goods that have some Paw coin value also always have funds value as well, so you might as well maximize your effort value for the grind. You can unlock Cheesy's life skill that highlights all collectible loot in gold as long as said loot is not inside the safe. This allows you to scope out loot from different rooms while you are waiting for your character to lockpick a safe, for example. It is a good way to tell whether there is a point in visiting said room or if you need not bother. Lastly, if you have Lacrimosa, her life skill boosts the loot value you gain once you successfully leave by 15 or 20% based on the talent level. However, unlike Cheese, Lacrimosa must be physically present in your heist party for her talent to take effect. Now, I know this is a lot to take in, but you don't have to memorize everything right away. I will go over multiple runs, which all use roughly the same pathing, so you will see the important parts multiple times. Alright, now let's log into actual runs and routes that I always take. The first run I will show you is from a time when I still wasn't very good, but it can serve to highlight my mistakes so that you can avoid them. When you start a heist, always just rush towards this door. You can ignore this floor entirely, there is nothing worthwhile. You can also drive by these cash stacks, but their value is so low that honestly you can just ignore them altogether, especially if you are still just getting used to running at full speed for 12 minutes. Next, break the lock on this gate. The two enemies will very likely hit you, but they won't interrupt your lockpicking. Once that is done, run downstairs, defeat these three enemies because those are likely to interrupt you, and then just open the elevator door. If all door guardian enemies are beaten, then the door can be opened without breaking its lock. Here you can see I grabbed all the loot the golden enemy dropped. Don't do that, it wastes time. And here I was just running after everything that was shiny without a clear path in mind. Again, this wastes time. Of course, you need to gain experience doing this heist, so unoptimized routes are a guarantee. However, once you run through these hallways in specific ways, you will go around all of this loot anyway, so not only will you be quicker, you will also still grab all the shinies along the way. This room is always worth visiting, because it nearly always has great items to be snatched, and they are all grouped together. Great return on time investment. Through these doors is where your first actual route begins. It connects to many other rooms that are all worthwhile. However, you do not need to go all the way to the back like I did, because the loot there is pretty much guaranteed to be bad. Instead, circle around the middle of the room, look back to see if a safe spawned, and then rush away to the next room while hugging the wall and spamming the loot button. The drawers sometimes have something in them. This safe here is a guaranteed spawn, might as well see what's inside. Next, there is always something on this table, but the things that spawn there range anywhere from a long sword to a single special coin, meaning it is either very visible or practically invisible. I mean, can you even see the coin when it is on screen? So just jump on the table, spam the loot button, and move on where you can loot the drawer through the wall. All the safe, the table and the drawer are guaranteed spawns, so always check all of them. This room is very hit or miss. The haunted vending machine will attack you if you get near it from any angle, which will cause the security lasers to block the next room. Meaning, unless the loot spawned besides it is particularly valuable, it is better to just give up on it. Two safes may spawn here, however the vending machine also sometimes spawns besides one of them. If that happens, ignore that safe. Once you are done with this room, head here. You will find safety deposit boxes. This room is also a dead end, so you will have to return the way you came. However, it contains a lot of varied loot and nearly every single loot location is guaranteed. Looking past my weird movement there, you can just copy the route I took. I always do it this way. Also, up to 2 safes have a chance to spawn here, but they are not well visible from the ground level, so just jump on the desk and see if they are there. Once you are done, leave and just go straight. If the enemies detect you at this point, it doesn't matter, because your route forward will not be blocked. From here you have 2 paths to take. It doesn't really matter which one you go through though. And again, you can drive by some of these drawers, but they are nearly never worth any deeper exploration. Here you can see how while my character is breaking the safe open, I am already looking around the other rooms to see if anything catches my attention. In this case, the room on the right looks to be a complete dud, so I won't be exploring it at all, but I didn't manage to scout out the second room in time, meaning I had to explore it physically, which also turned out to be a dud. That's simply how it goes sometimes. When finished looting, proceed through the golden door. If you see these barriers, that means the boss of this room didn't spawn. In such a case, I immediately go back the way I came. But just to show you how it looks when the boss does spawn. And now we use the second of the 2 paths from before. I told you it didn't really matter which one you picked. I just always go randomly with one, and if it doesn't contain its boss, then I return and try the other one. And again, while working on a save, scout out the neighboring rooms. This time, the left one seems empty, but just as the lock was broken, I noticed something shiny in the right room and dashed in immediately. Remember, time not spent breaking locks or moving is a time wasted. As soon as you see the first sign that something valuable might have spawned, go check it out. Going there physically will both let you see better inside and also allow you to actually loot the things, instead of wasting time standing outside and then dashing in once you detect something you like. Also worth mentioning is this. You will be making split-second decisions constantly. As I am explaining, I am trying to make it as easy to understand as possible, but this is what it looks like in real time. Once ready, again use the golden door, and there you can see that the boss did spawn for this area, because this room at the far back is not blocked off by barriers. The barriers spawn in only if the boss itself didn't spawn, meaning if the room is open, the boss is guaranteed to be there. So go and beat it up! The actual loot dropped by bosses is extremely random. Most commonly it boils down to just fat stacks of cash, however there are instances where they drop a whole bunch of items that have great whole coin value. Also with this specific boss, its own body often obscures its health bar and you can't even see how much health it has left, so just keep hitting it until you see the loot has spawned on the floor. As you can see, this time it dropped a lot of cash which we don't really care about, but also 2 artworks, each valued at 72 Paw coins. This is a great result. Additionally, once beaten, both this boss and the one that didn't spawn open up a room with 2 safes you can claim. Their contents are very hit or miss, but are generally worth checking out. One of them gave me 48 Paw coins while the other gave just 3, but it can also happen that both of them give 0. Now go through the golden door, and there I made another mistake by hugging the right wall. Not only does this wall basically never spawn anything worthwhile, I also didn't check whether a safe spawned here, which it did. Thus I wasted time collecting junk and not breaking down the safe, plus scouting out the left wall. Unlike the right wall, the left wall quite often does have valuable loot worth grabbing. The elevator at the back of this room is guarded by 2 Elks, meaning it must be lockpicked. But you can make a quick detour into the room on the left, drive by the loot on the table, run back to the previous room, and the Elks might just despawn. This isn't very reliable though and will likely get patched in the future, but checking that side room is still worth it. It is difficult to say whether breaking this lock or actually fighting off the enemies is the quicker way to do this, but just keep in mind that if you go for the lockpicking option, you can survive exactly 1 weaker hit from the Elks before you get interrupted. Upon entering the collection floor, run past the 2 inactive statues and snap turn left. The seats and table often have worthwhile goodies. Then continue straight ahead and loot the 2 long desks in front of you. This geometric decor is the golden grail. Whenever you see it, always dash straight towards it. It gives a huge amount of Paw coins. Next, this is another location where a boss might spawn, and you can see quite quickly whether it did or not, because if it didn't, this wall wouldn't be open. However, I don't believe this one is actually worth it, because I cannot recall ever getting any worthwhile loot from it. But it does link to a second boss, and this one always spawns. Also, you can just run past the previous boss to reach this one. This second boss has better odds of dropping desired goodies, so just focus on this one if you find yourself with excess time. Even though this time his loot was all terrible. Well, hey, I said he had better odds, not that he always dropped something good. Now take note of this. If you approach a safe from behind, even though it is highlighted, you cannot actually start breaking its lock. You have to be within the front 180-degree radius to start breaking in. As you are running through this floor, start paying attention to the telephone booths. You will have to escape through one of them in 99% of the cases. This is what an inactive booth looks like, and this is what an active booth looks like. You can see that it has a very bright red glow all around it. This elevator leads into the deepest floor of the bank, which houses the best loot. However, the vast majority of it is locked behind keycards, which you have to randomly find throughout the whole map. You can pick them up in one run and use them in another run if you want, but all of them are single use only. Anyway, first start breaking the elevator lock, but immediately stop and begin fighting the two statues. From all my testing, it is impossible to break this lock without being interrupted. But fake breaking the lock is also the fastest way to activate both the statues so that you can destroy them and open the elevator. Remember, once the elevator guardians are dead, you don't need to break the lock anymore. You can just open the door instantly. Inside the vault floor, I pretty much always follow the exact same route, so I'll let it play for you. The Vault 001 is the one you are most likely to have an access card to during any run, so if you are not certain which cards you have, always check this one. The loot inside is not very reliable, but since you're already here, you might as well check it out. Finally, once the heist timer drops down to 1 minute, stop looting entirely and immediately start looking for an active phone booth. You must leave within that 1 minute or you lose everything. In case you have an active booth in front of you, but some loot nearby and still some time reserve left, you can go for it. Just make sure to not get too greedy. Oh, also, and this is very important, make sure you have at the bare minimum 5 seconds remaining when you are already interacting with the booth itself. There is some natural in-game lag, so it is a good idea to have some reserve to prevent losing everything to the whims of the server. Alright, now we can move on to the second run, where my pathing was a lot better. Begin in the exact same way, skip the cutscene, rush towards the right side door, then towards the door in the back and go downstairs. You want to get out of this floor as quickly as possible. Once downstairs, either quickly eliminate all 3 enemies, or use an access card on the elevator to skip this room entirely, if you have one. Here you can see my better optimized path. Instead of running after every shiny like a headless chicken, I immediately turn towards the room on the right wall. When done looting, leave and run into the door on the left wall. You can see how I no longer went all the way to the back of the room. I was also avoiding the spotlights here, but honestly, even getting caught here wouldn't really inconvenience your run, so you don't have to bother. Remember to hug the left wall and mash the loot button. Then, in the next room, there are the 3 guaranteed loot spots, the safe, the tabletop, and the cabinet that you can loot through a wall. This is the room with the haunted vending machine. Keep your distance from it unless really valuable loot spawned near it. This is probably as close as you can get to the vending machine without triggering it. I am honestly surprised it remained dormant. Avoid the spotlight and go to the safety deposit boxes room. Remember to use this route to save as much time as possible while still looting everything. While breaking a safe here, you can actually scout out the manager's office through the window to see if a big safe spawned there. If it did, it could be worth checking out. When done with this room, remember to exit through the door straight ahead of you, and then loot just this table. It often spawns many goodies, but the other tables don't, so you don't even have to bother panning your camera towards them. This is the room where you have 2 paths to take. Remember that it doesn't matter which one you pick. Lacrimosa in her bat form can pass through lasers. You can literally fly straight through them. This doesn't work on the large walls of lasers that get triggered by the spotlights though. There I was testing to see if you can use the arc that breaks open all the safes you have touched, even if you touch them with a different character than the one equipping said arc. You cannot. When I realized this, I panicked and used the arc while the MC didn't touch anything, meaning it was completely wasted. Honestly, if you play with the controller like me, the arc activation key is the exact same as the loot key, and you cannot remap them in game settings, so use the safe breaking arc only if you play with mouse and keyboard. I will also show you how to get this arc at the end of this run. I ran into this room, realized the boss didn't spawn, so I ran back. The room in the far back isn't barricaded. The boss has spawned. This is the large safe we scouted while inside the deposit boxes room. Also, the elevator in the back is currently bugged and doesn't open even if you have the required access card. Remember, ignore the right wall, loot the left wall and handle the safe if it's spawned. 2 Elks. Go check the table in the room on the left. Collection floor. The great loot area. Past the statues, jump to the left, then go straight. All these pedestals can house items worth some Paw coins. Make sure to glance over them when nearby. This is for pure stall points, honestly. If you have Lacrimosa, you can fly up to invert the room and enter this golden door to check if you have the secret access card earlier than you should be able to. If yes, the loot here is very reliable, but the access card itself is very rare. If you don't have the card, simply fly up to invert the room again. As you can see, this exact room we skipped into can be accessed normally by going rightwards from the elevator room that leads into the underground vault room.
Shift change, go, trust me.
Only about a minute remains. Go panic and find an active phone booth. In this case, I remembered that there was an active one on the floor below, so I could afford to get a little greedy and still made it out. Remember to do this only if you are certain you can still reach an active booth. And that was the second run. As you saw, I panicked and made mistakes quite often, but still made it out with over 220,000 cash and nearly 1,600 Paw coins. This is the most I have ever managed to get in a single run. Before moving on to run 3, this is how you get the block-breaking arc I mentioned earlier. First open up your phone, then go into the mall, click on Arc Shop, swap over to Arc Exchange, scroll all the way down and buy the Time Bandit arc. Keep in mind that not all characters can equip it, but your main character can, so you can just put it on them if you have no one else. Back to the runs, now you will see how my pathing is in top class and my mistakes are minimal, yet I earn less loot in the end. It all depends on the random seed that generates the heist instance. I will let this run play out without any commentary from me, so that you can see how everything looks in real time without any interruptions, and at the end I will go over some standout moments.
Lacrimosa can handle it. Stick to the plan.
Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan
Leave it to Lacrimosa.
Trust me.
Shift change. Go rest. Shift change. Go rest now.
I will see through the Nexus.
Provide backup. Target confirmed.
I'm here, Coco. Let's finish this.
Stick to the plan. Route secured.
Let me take over. The wind's just right.
Leave it to Lacrimosa.
In this room, the ghost NPC is guaranteed to spawn, and if you want to maximize your loot return on time investment, you are guaranteed to ignore it. It asks you how many red phones are in this room, and if you get it right, you are awarded 5000 cash. If you get it wrong, some enemies spawn, but the time running around counting phones would be better spent just going away and looting as usual. These safety deposit boxes along the walls can also be looted. Might as well check them while rushing towards the final elevator. And that will be the end of my guide. I hope it was informative and that it helped you better understand the pink Paws heist. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and remember to have fun.